You might know me from the guy that started the original Grand Theft Auto series. I also have Atari home computer videos on my channel. But most recently, and one of my primary focuses has been game development, so I kind of got back into some Dark GDK programming. You can actually see this video over here is the game that I'm currently working on. And I wanted to share some of that information and what I've learned about game design. So this series is actually going to focus on animation, which is something I've been trying to tackle, believe it or not, for the last week. Maybe it doesn't seem like a long span of time, but for me it was pretty frustrating. But eventually I began to understand it, and that's what this whole series is about. So you see over here, and I have Dark GDK open. This is not, by the way, guys, this is not a tutorial to teach you Dark GDK. There are many helpful videos on the internet for that, and maybe I'll find time to do that, but what I wanted to do is share some of the stuff I've come across and I've found to be a benefit with Dark GDK. Now, I'm still learning it, so I don't really know everything yet. But anyways, let's continue on with this series. So, what you see here, first of all, I'll show you what these files are. This is just, this comes with the package. You might not have this package, but I highly recommend it if you can get it from the game creators. It's called Dark Matter. It's right here. I'll open it up to kind of demonstrate it for you. And it's got a list of files that you can download these directly. Once you install the program, you can pull them off of your hard drive or wherever you install them to. And you go here, and you can see these are different things that they have in the game. I'll show you the German since we're starting with him. And right here, these are the different animations for the German. So this one's the attack. This one is him dying, and it kind of loops it over. This is idle, he's just standing there. This is impact, as if he's being hit. And this, of course, this is animation of movement, and this is just static, which is kind of like idle, but he just doesn't do anything. Okay, and then if you go back here, obviously, click this button, you can see all the other animations they have. I use this one in my game for the raptor. I just enlarged the size of it. It looks like, kind of like a dinosaur. I couldn't find a dinosaur, but these are where you can find the files, and this is what I wanted to demonstrate for this first part. Hopefully the screen wasn't black during that time. If it was, sorry about that. Okay, so once you have these files, you would basically find a location to store them on your hard drive. Like I said, they come with the Dark Matter software, and for those who want to know, let's do a quick overscan here to Google. And probably the fastest way is, let's see, game creators, Dark Matter. They have packaged stuff you can buy too. I bought this several years ago and got like a pretty good deal. Their prices are coming down too because they're competing with a lot of the different engines that are out there. But right now this one's only $10, so it's kind of cheap. But you can get the packages, and I think this is the one I bought before. But actually I didn't pay $2.95, so they've kind of went back up to their prices again. But anyways, this is the one that's got the models in it. This is Dark Matter 3. I just have Dark Matter, so it doesn't have all these other ones, but you know, you just keep adding them. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first of all run this program before I go in and explain it and show you how it works. I figured that'd be the best way to start here. So what I do is I just compile here. And I have mine just set up as an executable, so basically I just go in and I run the executable. Oops. Maybe clicking on all the wrong stuff here. And let's go here and click this. And this is it. So this is a German guy you saw earlier. And I have it set up, you press the number 1 key, he'll do the dead animation, which is the dying. You keep pressing it, and he'll keep dying. Now if I press the 2 key, he's like shooting at you. That's one of the other animations that they have. If I press the 3 key, then this is the impact, like he's being hit. And I press the 4 key, and that's his walking animation. So there you see it. Those are all the different frames of the character. Now I have set up in here camera X, Y, and Z. I was originally playing with that, but you can probably ignore all that. I also have the rotation set up for those who are interested in rotation. Different ways of rotating them. I'm not real good at it yet, so you're not going to see a whole lot of good. This isn't a rotation video. It's not here to teach you all that other stuff yet. Maybe when I get better at it later, I'll show you that. But anyways, let's get back into it now. So when you're first setting up a player in GDK, you want to basically establish where you're going to pull that from the hard drive. And now to kind of explain, as I mentioned earlier, you can download this stuff directly to your hard drive. I have it set up here in, actually let me leave this one open so I don't have to come back to that one. I have it set up here, I think it was on my C drive. Yeah, actually let me go back and check it. Let's see, animation. Yeah, it's under animation. So I just go to animation here. And these are all the same ones you saw earlier. I didn't run all these, but here's the one for German. It's a Direct.x file, so if you click it here, you can kind of see the animation, but it doesn't have the texture loaded in there. Textures get loaded in automatically, but that's basically where they're coming from. So you can see, this one kind of froze on me. All right, get off the screen there. All right, so anyways, that's what these are. You just point them to your hard drive. Now, there are other ways of doing it, but I figured this would be the best way for people who want to know. And one thing you want to keep in mind is this order is very important, and there's a reason why for that consistency. I'll explain it later, but for right now, I'll put the numbers in as I know them. These are the animation frames I'll be writing. So the first animation frame, actually I can verify them down here. Let's see. I'm skipping ahead here a little bit, but I want to make sure I know 0 to 49. I'm just double checking my work here. So 0 to 49 is the first one. That's the first frame. Second one is 51 to 75. 75. And 7686. See the consistency? They're going in order. Nothing is out of order. Now, I used to think they were out of order when I was testing them. I found the game creators to be pretty good in the way they have developed things. So let's see, 87 to 110. I don't think I have this. Yeah, I do. 87 to 110. That's right. 87 to 110. And then just the final one. The static one doesn't do anything, so the movement is 111 to 136. 11 to 136. Here we go. Excuse me. Okay, so these are the animation frames, and they're just going to come into later when I explain this down here. But as you've already seen over here, the die and attack, that's exactly what these are in correlation to, where these are pointing to. So keep that in mind. You can also, this is just a character pointer. I just named it anything that seemed relevant to the file name. And you want to really importantly name them one after the other, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, the numbers aren't consistent, but it's an easier way for you to keep track of it if you're writing like a large scale game, as I demonstrated for you earlier. Okay. So the next things here, these are just other characters I have set up. This is for character placement down here for text positioning, stuff like that. And this is a way to, I wanted to show you this next. This next one here is how you can verify that this file exists. Because a lot of times when you're trying to load models, if they don't load successfully, either you won't see anything or sometimes you get an irritating crash. This is the way to verify it. You just I just set up a name here called file name search equal to whichever one of these frames I want to make sure loaded in here. And then I'm going to skip down here a little bit to show you. Then down here it'll say if db file exists, and you just put in file name, which remember is just pointing to German frame 1, is equal to 1, which means it was found. I set up what's called a function that basically returns false if it, actually I got this backward. True, false. There's no notice that. So true means the file was found. False means the file was not found. So that's basically all I did there. Okay, so skipping down here, or going back up here, this is one of the, and let me kind of go in sync here. I know I'm kind of jump, but I want to kind of go in the order of how a computer would actually run the program. So anytime you first start Dark GDK, it's going to automatically look at this Dark GDK void. I mean, it's still going to go through the top part and load in all the methods and or the functions and all that stuff in your declarations. But for those who are new, you want to make sure that you understand when you're running your game, it's running everything inside of this runtime environment, which I believe is a thread. Okay, so db sync on, this is just as normal stuff comes with Dark GDK. db sync rate, syncing the, I think it's the FPS, yeah, the frames per second. And db camera range, this one's probably not always required. I just did this to set a certain certain focus range of where the camera is going to be at when the player shows up. I mean, we can maybe play with that later, but like I said, that might be another video. db position camera, this is going to position the camera at coordinates at X and Z. X and Z is just basically the 3D coordinates of how a player is being positioned. So don't ask me to explain all that. And this is the Y position, by the way, right here. But don't ask me to explain it because I'm not a total expert on mathematical 3D coordinate systems. But just know that you got to position the camera. And then we'll kind of go back here. This is going to call one of the first functions I created, which up here you saw earlier, which is display. So now we'll go back up here a little bit. And this is what I showed you earlier. It's basically going to take this function and return true or false into this area to let you know if it was found, and later we'll be checking it down here. Okay, so the next thing, actually this one is irrelevant. This came with an example. We don't need the cube. Load animation, let me see here. Yeah, that one's fine. I took other parts of another program and I just noticed that they were kind of remaining in this one. Because I didn't have any idea that I was really going to come up with an animation demo for people. So I was practicing with another example that Dark GDK had and left that little line in there. So, okay, so then next we're going to load the object animation. This is basically going to load in everything that's needed to make that man show up on the screen, as you saw earlier. And that's right here. You would load the object and German frame 1. Remember, these are just the file names. An easier way is to indicate them to this, or you can also do this if people want to know what's going on here. You could still insert it in like that, but then anytime you change any of these, then this is going to be thrown off. So I always just set up a regular call to it up here where you can change it anytime you want, and it's easier at the top. Like for example, in my program, the game you saw earlier, I have them all set up here directly at the top here. Right here, I have the raptor, the text, SWAT, German, Amazon, bones, which is skeleton, the dog, and the cyborg. They're all kind of at the top there. So you would load in that, and then character, this just represents the object number. So if you hold over here, you'll see it says void dbLoadObject. That's just telling you the ID that Dark GDK needs to identify this object in memory. So you always want to keep that consistent. So I just name them to keep them consistent. You can use any number. I started with originally 1, but they had 1 for the box you saw down there earlier, and I moved mine to 2. So we'll just leave it at 2 for now. Okay, so the next important thing to understand is this dbAppendObject. Now this one was kind of new to me, and I just came across it, like I said, last week. Basically what it does is it takes all these frames you saw here earlier, if you notice here, frame 2, this one shows frame 3, frame 4, 5, and 6, and it takes all these and it sticks them into your object here. So basically it allows you, you'll be able to cycle through these to create the animation. Just know if you want to be able to do it with these X files, you just basically append them like this. And this thing right here is going to check for the total number of frames that's being pulled in for each one of these. Notice these numbers up here, 0 to 49. So this is the total one for this one. 51 to 75 is for this one. 76, 86, this one, and so on. And then it just loads it in. You always add 1 because you're getting 1 to the next frame, or 1 higher than the next frame. So that's how that goes. And then what I did next here is I just had to rotate this object on the screen because for some reason when he positioned on the screen he didn't look in the right place. I mean, we could probably change this and see if I'm correct on that. Maybe he'll get a funny angle or something. Let's see what happened here. Actually, you know what? That would probably isn't even needed. You know why? Right down here below it. I repositioned the X and the Y down here. So if we take these two lines out, excuse me for stepping ahead, I wanted to explain why I'm throwing in these rotations and all that. So if you take these out and rebuild this and run this, see, he's kind of in a funny spot now. That's why I originally started with the rotation to try to get him positioned. But I just found out later how to do is rotate his X and Y position. And after I played with it, I found out these were the right positions. I think 90 is kind of like an upstanding straight up, because 90 degrees would be straight. 25, I don't really totally understand all this yet, so I can't really. I know that from what I've learned, X, the way I've understood 3D coordinate system is the X goes kind of like backward and forward. The Y is like in front of you or farther away from you, and I believe the Z is up and down if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So the next thing here is this one is you'll see db set object speed, and I'll probably come back to this later, but this is basically setting up the animation speed. So if we change this like to, let's make it like 10 or something, I think that might be noticeable. We'll recompile it, and I'll demonstrate the animation frames again here to show you what I'm talking about. So if we press 1 here, watch, he goes a little bit slower in the animation. So this is how you kind of slow down what your player is doing if you need to see other things and stuff like that. And you can go through them all if you want to see them. How slow he's running. But I think you get the idea on that. So, okay, the next one here is called dbScaleObject. This is going to change the size of your character. Now the reason why I did this is, and I'll demonstrate, let's take it out for once here and recompile. Always recompile to get the new results and rerun. Where is he? I don't even see him. Do you see him? Look at this little dot. You gotta pay real close attention. You have a good eye. That's actually our character. For some reasons, don't ask me why, when you're using these characters, ones I just showed you earlier, all of these, they're defaulting to a very small size. Now, if anybody knows the answer to that, I'd like to know, because I always have to scale them to see them. And the funny thing is, I never really discovered this right away. So for the longest time, I was prohibited from using these characters because I couldn't see them. I put them in my game and everything, like back here, for example, down here at the bottom. This is where I kind of load in all of my stuff. Let me see where it's at here. Right here. Okay, so let's see where the German's at. I think he's down here. That's the Raptor. Right there's German. So right here, I would do all this, and I get to the scale, and I'd set these something to like 40, 40, 40, and we could do that over here. But, you know, he would still never show up, and I'm like, where is this guy? Why isn't this thing showing up? But when I was running my game, and we'll run it with this right now, and I'll show you. You can't see it, but it got a little bit bigger. Now, when I was running my game and I would put this into the game, it was really ironic because, you know, I couldn't figure out what was happening. I kept thinking maybe something was wrong with the file didn't load. That's why I came up with this file was found, file was not found kind of thing. Before I could really, you know, digest the whole thing and really understand that these characters are spawning very small on the screen, and if you don't scale them, you're never going to see them. So it was really nice once I finally discovered that, and I just gave you several examples there. What did I do here? I think we just lost him here. Maybe I didn't recompile. Let's see here. What did I do, guys? I think I took this one line out or something here. Let me just undo all this. So I had it like that earlier. I know I did. But you get the point. He wasn't spawning back on the screen. He's that little dot again. Oh, it was a scale. I forgot. I was too focused on this, and I think it was actually, that's what I get for changing stuff. But anyways, it's the scaling, so as long as you put the scaling back, you'll be able to see your character again and everything. So let's show you right now. Just make it really large. Yeah, it's probably too large for the screen now. I think this was 140, was I right? It's nice to know I can probably rewind this and look at it again, because now I'm like disturbed here. Is this thing running somewhere? Hold on a second, guys, here. Could not delete file. Why are you trying to delete the file? What's going on with this? Strange, strange, strange. I'll put it back the way it was. I had that in there, had that in there. Let's see. Isn't it nice, right, when you're always playing in the background the whole time? I didn't even know that. If I had verified that, I would have been able to see that all these windows were open. And that's probably why Dark GDK wasn't letting me rerun it again. So I had to open this back up again. Sorry about that. Alright, so let's go back here. Hopefully it works this time. There we go. So we're back. Sorry for that little delay there, but things happen. Okay, so back where we were is we know that the scaling obviously is an essential part of seeing the characters on the screen. Now, they don't all have to be scaled, but in this case, if you're using these dark matter ones, they have to be scaled. So enough of that. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to position the object on the character. Just find its coordinates in 3D space. If you look here, you'll see float x, fx, fy, fz, which are the float x, y, and z. And I found that these would be the positions that actually gets him standing upright. So, alright, so now we're going back down here. Remember, this is just kept track of this area that just ran up here. And I just have another scale in here. I probably don't even need this one. Let me see if I take that out. Just curious here for a minute. Yeah, he's fine. So I don't need that line. So make the object cube. We can take that one out. And we got the animation in. Next, you want to point the camera. This is pointing in 3D space at fx, fy, and fz. And that's how I was able to point where the character is showing up at. And then this one here, if any of you have been paying attention real carefully, you might have seen these numbers somewhere earlier. Go back up here. These are saying 87,110. And right here. So this just sets him up in the idle state when we first load him. So, and let me see if he's actually showing his animation when he loads up here. Notice he's moving there. That's the idle state for the character. So I just set that up as a default animation. So the point I'm trying to make is when you want to animate them, you just use dbLoadObject. Use the character, which represents the object number. Remember, that's up here. Originally the 2, so that would be 2. And then you just set the frames that you want to animate. So if I wanted to start this up with a different animation, I just go back here and I change any one of these. Let's just use 51 to 75 since it's next sequenced frame. So, and we'll recompile it again. And I've opened up here again, I forgot. Just now I know what that error message is. It means that I had already had a project open and it didn't shut it down before trying to go back and rerun it again. And notice now the animation is showing up instead of just the idle. So, okay. So next here we're going to run a little function I created called display, and I think I showed you this earlier. Right here, it just loads in the file. So, excuse me, to tell you whether the file was found. So to kind of explain this just goes through here, and I think I kind of went over this, but it kind of just looks for the file and returns a value. And then we kind of derailed there earlier, but that's basically what that's doing. And then this is the regular loop for Dark GDK to keep everything in sequence. So these are the camera positions you saw on the screen here earlier when I ran it. Right here, the camera X, Y, and Z. So as I'm moving this, you can see that camera X, Y, and Z changing there. So, all right. And this one's pretty simple. This just says, did you press the left key? And if you did, I have set up a little incrementer. And just x++ is just going to be like doing x equals x plus 1, basically. And this line you can ignore. I was playing with some of the other rotation stuff, but this can be taken out. And so this one can be taken out too, to kind of stay consistent here. So I just set up, this is not on a rotation video to explain, but this is just how you would rotate at angles. And this was from that earlier example that Dark GDK or game creators had provided. And I just added my X value to it to increase the man moving around, as you saw me moving him earlier. And this changes his X at plus, and this one's at minus, so it's in positive and negative there. And that's the right key. And the next one here is if you're pressing the up key. This time I'm using an incrementer for Y, and very similar, it's just Y equals Y plus 1. And rotating again, except this time instead of at the X angle, we're rotating it at the Y right here. So I just added plus Y right down here, as you see there. And this is minus Y. It does the same thing here if you're pressing the down key, and it just rotates him at the Y. When you're seeing him moving forward and backward here, I'll show you if you missed that step. When you see him doing this, now I got the animation going there. So if you see him doing that, that's just basically what that's doing at X in the Y location. So okay. So after that, what the computer does is these are the sequences of the animation frames as I explained earlier here. And I showed this over here to kind of point to which one is executing at what point. So if you're pressing the 1 key, this is, believe it or not, the 2 is the 1 key state in Dark Basic. And that signifies that you're going to show the dying animation, which you saw him when I first pressed the 1 key. And then if you press in the 2 key, then that's the attack, and so on. 3, impact, 4 is idle, and then the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, 5. Actually, 5 is the move, so actually this one we don't even need. There's going to be the static, but we don't need that part, so. So we got die, attack, impact, idle. Oh, you know why? Because I stuck one in there for the idle is what I did. I see what I did now. But I need to add the new numbers, say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just rerun this again to make sure that this is staying consistent with what I'm saying. That's the default we change it to. So there's the die, shooting, impact, idle. Yeah, and then there's the movement. So that's correct. Alright, so next here, we're just about done. This is just showing, this is what I was telling you earlier, whenever you want to check that an object has loaded in here, I set up a function call to say if display equals true, then we're going to output this message saying file was not found to the screen. So basically all that does. And it works with this dbText to display it right here. So, all right, so the next thing down here is just showing, you saw this earlier, the camera X, Y, and Z. It just outputs that cam X, Y, and Z right here. So if you want to find out what camera's X position is for the player, you would use db camera position X. For Y, obviously, db camera position Y and Z. And these are just being represented up here by float values that you just set up directly for the C++ to be able to see them. So, all right, and everything else here is oh, this is the object position. This just shows you at the X, Y, in locations where the object position was at. And I originally used this because I was checking other stuff with trying to get the character centered on the screen. So you probably don't need this part, but if you're curious, that's basically what that does. And this down here, this is escape key. If you're pressing escape, it jumps out of Dark Basic back to your compiler here. And this is just the position of the object on the screen. You see the float X, Y, and Z again. And this increments the X that you saw up here when you're pressing the left and the right key. And the up and down key right here is on the coordinates for the Y. So that's basically it, guys. I could not believe it when I finally put it together, how easy the animation really was to implement into a game. I mean, we're talking about something that I've been researching for a long time, especially with these files now. There are other animations that are already set up and directly in one place where you can run them, I believe, from one object already, and you don't have to go through all this editor adding these different Direct.x files. But when you want to add them, you just use that dbAppendObject, and it'll add in each different frame that you came across. So I'll run it one more time. If you're curious. On the executable. Here's our default. And there you guys have it. I'm going to show you one more thing here. We'll kind of take this a step up. I'm going to implement inside of here, instead of the soldier animation, we're going to switch out with one of the other different models that are provided with dark matter. So I'm going to go over here to animation, and we can just pick any one here. It doesn't really matter. We did the German. You have a GI. The dog sounds pretty good, so we'll do the dog, hound. So basically I'm looking for H hound, and I'm just going to change that in my logic because it's all still pointing to the animation folder. So go back up here. Remember, it's that easy implementation. So you're basically, I only have to change one thing here since it says H die. All these names down here are consistent. You notice they always stay the same. Makes it easier just to go in and change them. So I only have to change one little name, and we'll be able to see that little dog. Actually, I have to change it in a couple different places here, I think. No, that's correct, because these are going to point, even though the name is still saying German frame 1, you can change them here. If you don't, for those who don't care about, you know, what the name shows for now, we can have the dog in this, or the hound they call him, and run him and make him appear. So we'll do that right now. And there's the dog. And this is, all the animations are set up. You notice how he's barking already? Watch. As soon as I press the keys, he's dead. He's barking. He's his impact, I think. He's idle. And he's running. See? This is how relatively it's easy to get animation in Dark Basic. And you've just seen on this example how easy it is to go over here and change anything in here instantly, and you're looking at the next animation already. I mean, just that quick. I think that's pretty amazing the way they had set it up in sequence, where you could easily implement in the next animation frame once you had it running. But unfortunately, they don't have a lot of support for Dark GDK, so I thought I would create this series to kind of show you how animation works. So I don't know why he's stuck on that animation frame, but I must have done something. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this series, and thanks for watching. If you're interested, go ahead and subscribe. And like I said, I'm still working on the other game in progress here, and I'm hoping to get out, you know, some newer videos on this and everything, because I do have one. I've implemented all, and I can show you that real quick if you're curious. Actually, I'll give you a sneak peek of what's going on with my game right now. So I'll just recompile. Hopefully there's no errors in it. And hopefully Camtasia captures the screen when I load it full screen. I'll try not to run it too long. If it doesn't, it's like I left something out here. Okay, 1 second here. Okay. I changed some things in this earlier, so I think it's this one. So now I should be able to run it. I was working on some sequence of AI in my game too. Hopefully you can see this and it's not black on you, but I had some AI techniques I was working on to make the game more realistic and everything. So let's just kind of show you. And I added music too. You can hear the music in the background. It wasn't there before. I repositioned the gun and stuff. I think this music's kind of cool. See, you probably won't see the animations here. I think I turned them off here. Actually, they are animating if you look at them. That's the idle animation. They're still going through the walls and stuff, though. Let's see where there's a skeleton. I have a skeleton over here somewhere. Let's see one underwater somewhere. There's one down here. The fog effects, those are kind of cool. Let's see. There's the hound. You saw me animate him earlier. And somebody just went under the ground there. Like I said, there's a lot of things I need to work on with this thing, so let's see here. Hopefully this isn't jumping frames either, because I know sometimes when you load these things in, it doesn't load correctly. So let's see, I think I can find my way around my own maze. I think there's a hallway down here. Where are you? Right down here. Well, huh. I think I changed some funny looking stuff in this game. I noticed I just changed my whole maze. I know this is an animation. I took it a step up to show you what's going on here and find out where these characters went to. There's another one. You can see her now if you look closely. She doesn't disappears into the whole mountain there. Well, let me skip ahead here to the... Yeah, he's animated. So now you can see the raptor. He's in idle mode. So remember, we demonstrated earlier animation for idle mode. See how he's kind of just sitting there up and down. He doesn't do anything because I don't have any of his stuff implemented where you can attack him and he attacks you back, retaliates. But basically, yeah, that's it. The animation stuff. So I hope that was helpful, guys. Thanks for watching, as I stated. Have a great day.